Welcome to the Nation of History channel. Be sure to subscribe and like so you don't miss out on more videos like this one. Survivors of a plane crash in the Andes in 1972. The image shows people after facing extreme challenges in snowy conditions, reflecting human endurance, cooperation, and survival experiences. A large gathering called Cathedral of Lights took place in Nuremberg, Germany in 1937. The event brought together thousands of people in a public presentation. The highlight was the use of searchlights that created beams of light in the sky. Workers carry out maintenance on the Graf Zeppelin over the South Atlantic Ocean in 1934, after the airship had been damaged by a storm. The image shows the technical effort and engineering involved in operating large aircraft of the time. A worker takes a break during the construction of the Chrysler Building in New York City in the year 1930. The record shows a moment of the work that would result in one of the city's best-known buildings. The Chrysler Building became a landmark of Art Deco architecture. People receiving bread and soup during the Great Depression. The image shows community support activities and food aid, reflecting everyday life, the economy, and solidarity in difficult times. President Roosevelt delivers a historic speech to a joint session of Congress on December 8, 1941. The image records an important moment in the political history of the United States, highlighting leadership and official communication during significant national events. A Scandinavian flight attendant wears a new uniform at an airline in 1958. The image shows the presentation of the uniform, reflecting fashion, the profession, and aviation practices of the time. A military commander named Erwin Rommel appears inspecting the coastal defenses in the Normandy region in 1944. The structures along the beach were intended to reinforce the area's security. Normandy became a place of great historical significance in the 20th century. A huge Italian artillery piece is shown in November 1917. The image records the engineering and scale of military machines of the time, offering a historical record of technologies developed in the early 20th century. An unemployed lumberjack, accompanied by his wife, takes part in the bean harvest in Oregon, August 1939. He has his Social Security number tattooed on his arm, showing both the bureaucratic control of the time and the economic hardships faced by workers. Woman being measured for the length of her swimsuit, 1925. The image shows fashion, swimwear, and clothing standards of the time, reflecting changes in style and social behavior. Moscow's sky in 1941 with dark clouds and intense movement. The image shows the city in a historical period, highlighting urban scenes and human activity during defining moments of the 1940s. A reindeer watches airplanes flying over Russia in 1941. The image shows everyday life and local wildlife in a historical moment, recording aerial scenes and human activity in the early 1940s. Steelworker during the construction of the Empire State Building, New York, around 1931. The image shows the effort and routines of workers building one of the most famous skyscrapers in the world. United States troops are in Venice, Italy, in the year 1945. The soldiers appear in the city, known for its canals and historic buildings, at an important time of transition. An inhabitant of Papua New Guinea, known as a fuzzy Wuzzy Angel, appears helping an Australian soldier on December 25, 1942. The record shows an act of support amid difficult conditions. Marilyn Monroe wipes away tears after the announcement that she had filed for divorce from Joe DiMaggio in 1954. The image captures an intimate and vulnerable moment of the iconic actress, reflecting the pressures of personal and public life in Hollywood in the 1950s. Visitors are on the observation deck at the top of the South Tower on June 21, 1984. The scene presents New York City from an elevated point. The location was known for offering one of the widest panoramas of the city. A photograph from 1976 shows the restaurant windows on the World, located at the top of the North Tower of the World Trade Center in New York City. The restaurant became one of the most visited places in the complex. A group of residents coming from the region of Czechoslovakia arrives in Bavaria, in Germany, under United States administration in 1946. The arrival reflected population shifts common at that time. Underground structure used during the Second World War, known as a bunker. The image shows the architecture and construction of military shelters of the time, reflecting protection strategies and the organization of spaces during periods of conflict. Soldier wearing a protective mask while carrying out tasks in Tobruk in October 1941. The image shows the protective equipment and methods of the time, reflecting aspects of military life and readiness in challenging environments. A captured German Etrich Taube monoplane is displayed in the courtyard of Les Invalides in Paris in 1915. This aircraft, with its bird-shaped wings, symbolizes the technological innovation of the First World War and the military prestige associated with aviation at the time. Ship Captain, 1901. The image shows the officer in uniform, representing the Navy, maritime transport, and naval life at the start of the 20th century. The record is part of historical archives that document occupations, clothing, and society of the time. Detroit River during the winter, around 1905. The river appears covered with ice, showing the urban landscape and the climate of the time. The record is part of historical archives that document cities, nature, and everyday life in the early 20th century. A teenage girl has her hair straightened with an iron in Queens, New York City in the year 1964. This method reflected common practices before the popularization of specific devices. Queens was already one of the most populous areas of New York City. Pelé, the legendary Brazilian forward, and Lev Yashin, goalkeeper of the Soviet Union, appeared together in 1965. Yashin is widely considered the greatest goalkeeper in the history of soccer, famous for his spectacular saves and for his innovative use of positioning and leadership on the field. President Richard Nixon appears offering a bottle of Pepsi Cola soda to Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev in 1959. The meeting took place during the American National Exhibition in Moscow. Samurai warriors. The image shows samurai with their traditional clothing and weapons, representing the culture, discipline, and military society of historic Japan. It is part of historical archives that document life, customs, and clothing of the time. Microsoft Team, 1978. The image shows company employees in their workplace, reflecting technology, business, and software development in the late 1970s. Albert Einstein posing for a bust made by sculptor Arthur Lowenthal in Berlin, 1930. The image shows the famous physicist during the sculpture session, recording his historical presence. Leo Tolstoy telling a story to his grandchildren, 1909. The image shows family moments, literary tradition, and everyday life, reflecting culture, education, and family relationships of the time. The band Led Zeppelin during a performance in Milan, Italy, 1971. The image shows musicians on stage, reflecting musical culture, concerts, and entertainment of the time. The record is part of historical archives that document performances and musical events. The historic meeting between musicians Peter Tosh and Bob Marley with Mick Jagger took place in Jamaica in 1978. The record marked the union of great names of reggae and rock. The gathering symbolized the bringing together of different musical styles. Danish model Winnie Holman in Cannes, 1970s. The image, captured by photographer Helmut Newton, shows fashion, style, and the culture of international events of that time. Promotional photograph of the Hollywoodland housing development in Los Angeles around 1925. The famous sign, built in 1923, appears as the highlight of the image. The first Ronald McDonald portrayed by Willard Scott. The image shows the iconic character in his original look, reflecting popular culture, entertainment, and marketing of the time. A prototype spacesuit for use on the moon was developed by the company Republic Aviation Corporation on March 16, 1960. The suit was designed to provide protection and mobility outside the Earth. The construction of Mount Rushmore is underway in the year 1939. The sculptures were made in solid granite as part of a large project. Work began in 1927 and ended in 1941. The Sydney Opera House is under construction during the 1970s. The image shows the architecture and development and workers on site, recording the progress of one of Australia's most iconic landmarks. The Winter Olympic Games of 1924 took place in Chamonix in the French Alps. The event was the first official edition dedicated exclusively to winter sports. Paul Newman and Joanne Woodward buying books in Paris in 1959. The image shows the famous couple enjoying a cultural, everyday moment, representing the personal lives of celebrities and the interest in literature at the time. Carrie Fisher and Mark Hamill posed together in 1983. The image shows the two actors known for their roles in the famous science fiction film series, capturing a moment of friendship and work between castmates. Cassandra Peterson, known as Elvira, beside her 1958 Ford Thunderbird, customized by George Barris as the Macabre Mobile. The image shows custom coachwork, automotive design, and pop culture of the time, reflecting style, creativity, and entertainment. A family enjoys a recreational device invented by Charles Steinlauf in 1930. The image shows people taking the moment to exercise, socialize, and spend time together, reflecting family activities and innovation in home entertainment. An automated rail delivery system operated at the restaurant The Track in Los Angeles, California in the year 1949. Meals were carried to the vehicles by means of a mechanical track. In 1912, passengers exercise in the gym of the Franconia cruise ship of the Cunard Company. The Franconia carried out international voyages and was considered modern for its time. A cyclist from Tarvastu in Estonia appears with a wooden bicycle made by himself in the year 1912. The bicycle, built in a handcrafted way, reflects the ingenuity of the time. A vision of the future was recorded in the Soviet Union during the decade of 1930. The project showed the idea of a rapid transit system powered by electromagnets. The proposal reflected the technological enthusiasm of the time. A penguin appears being interviewed by a journalist in Moscow in the year 1966. The record shows a curious moment that blends animal life and human communication. The scene gained attention for its unusual nature. Moscow was, at that time, an important cultural and scientific center. A peanut vendor from the year 1890 appears wearing an outfit made with the peanuts themselves. The unusual clothing became a symbol of personal advertising. This kind of presentation was common at fairs and events of the time. The title of Miss Sausage Queen was awarded in 1955. The event was sponsored by the company Zion Meat Company. The occasion took place during National Hot Dog Week. Girls appear at a Beatles concert in the city of Plymouth on November 13, 1963. This period marked the beginning of the band's worldwide popularity. The Beatles transformed the musical and cultural scene of the decade of '60. Frida Kahlo paints while lying in her bed in 1940 after a serious accident that kept her confined for nearly a year. During that period, she developed many of her most intense and personal works, exploring pain, identity, and physical suffering. New York in 1914. The image shows the city's streets and buildings in the early 20th century, reflecting urban life, transportation, and architecture of the era. The record is part of historical archives that document cities, culture, and daily life in that period. Pike Place Market in Seattle, Washington, around 1916. The image shows stalls, merchants, and visitors, representing urban life, commerce, and the local culture of the time. Street fashion in the 1970s. The image shows people with clothing and accessories typical of the time, reflecting trends, style, and urban culture of the period. The record is part of historical archives that document fashion, society, and daily life in the 20th century. The evolution of women's swimwear can be observed from the Victorian era to the end of the decade of 1920. The record shows how the outfits changed over time. The pieces became lighter and more practical for activities in the water. Frances Rafferty, American actress, in the 1940s. She appears dressed according to the fashion of the time, with hairstyle and makeup typical of the period. The photograph highlights the glamour and style of movie stars of the decade. First edition of the Miss Universe pageant, held in 1952. The participants, representing different countries, appeared together on stage during the event. The pageant sought to celebrate international beauty and elegance, following the fashion and style standards of the time. Here, he is portrayed at his summer house on Long Island, at the beach, accompanied by his friend and owner of a local department store, David Rothman. The image conveys the relaxed mood of summer vacation, reflecting both friendship and the social, privileged lifestyle of the time. A Studebaker automobile in a repair shop in 1919. At the time, vehicle maintenance was a very manual and mechanical process, requiring detailed attention from mechanics to engines, gears, and transmission systems. Workers appear leaving the Chrysler plant in Highland Park, Detroit, in the year 1942. The facility was one of the most important in the automotive sector in the United States. During that period, production in Detroit had a great economic impact. A residential trailer, 1961. The image shows mobile housing and the lifestyle of the time, reflecting living conditions, transportation, and everyday culture. Historical archives that document architecture and household habits of the 20th century. Havana, Cuba, on March 19th. The image shows the city's streets, people, and architecture, reflecting daily life, transportation, and urban culture of the time. The record is part of historical archives that document cities, society, and daily life in the 20th century. Hudson Street Terminal, showing the movement of people and vehicles. The image captures the urban infrastructure and transportation of the time, reflecting everyday life in historic cities. Laundry Day in 1885. The image shows people washing clothes in a household or community setting, reflecting habits, techniques, and daily routines at the end of the 19th century. Sewing with a Singer machine, 1920s. The image shows a person using the sewing machine, reflecting household work practices, fashion, and the textile industry of the time. The record is part of historical archives that document everyday life, occupations, and technology. Richard Nixon, candidate for vice president from the Republican Party, 1952. The image shows Nixon emotional after meeting with Dwight D. Eisenhower and receiving his support to remain on the ticket following the controversy over the Checkers speech. Bill Clinton and Boris Yeltsin enjoy the Hudson River Valley landscape, New York, 1995. The image shows international leaders in a moment of visiting and contemplation, reflecting diplomacy, politics, and cultural exchange of the time. Person portraying or imitating a character at a public event, 1964. The image shows clothing style, popular culture, and entertainment of the time, reflecting customs, performances, and everyday life. Frederick IX, King of Denmark, reigning from 1947 to 1972. The image shows the monarch in an official context, reflecting leadership, political history, and the culture of Denmark in the 20th century. Che Guevara is photographed enjoying a drink in a relaxed moment. The image records an everyday scene of a historical figure, showing personal habits and informal moments. The roof of an old Fiat factory had a test track on its top during the decade of 1950. The record shows the unusual structure used to evaluate the vehicles produced. If you enjoyed this video and want to support the channel, please use the Super Thanks tool below. Your contribution helps us keep bringing you amazing historical content. Thank you so much for your support, and see you in the next video.